Welcome to Haunt Weekly.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jonathan.
I'm Crystal.
And this is Haunt Weekly, a weekly podcast for the haunted attraction and entertainment community. Whether you're an actor, owner, or just plain aficionado, we aim to be a podcast for you. And we return to you physically wrecked. Time change, combined with weather change in our area, we're a mess.
Yeah.
At least I am. I don't know about you, but I'm a mess. Also partied a little too hard last night. But yeah, between those three things, I'm pretty much done in. I have no business recording a podcast right now, if we're being honest with each other.
Yeah, but we can't put it off till tomorrow. So here we are.
No, we cannot. We have things we have to do. So definitely, real fast, follow us at the usual locations. I don't have a good transition from that.
No.
HauntWeekly.com or Haunt Weekly on Twitter, Haunt Weekly on Facebook, YouTube.com/Haunt Weekly is the YouTube channel. The easiest way to access the back catalog. Also find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. We should be there. I don't handle distribution. Some nice, smart people at another company do. And yes, definitely keep an eye on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Haunt Weekly. We are hoping to return at some point soon to live recordings. But no, if you go back a few episodes, you'll know why we stopped.
Yeah.
And why we haven't
why we've continued.
Why we've continued pre-recording. Basically why we haven't picked them back up.
Yeah, because we were supposed to in January.
Yeah, and that's life. But anyways, all right. First thing is first, though, we got to talk about the question of the weekend. Last week's question got a lot of people talking.
Mm-hmm.
There was some great conversation around that question, even better than I thought it was going to be. And it was going to be good.
Yeah, and the question was, what city is in your mind the best city for haunts?
And I can't tell if this is just because it was, it's genuinely the best, or if we have a sampling error.
Uh-huh.
But Chicago was the runaway winner.
Yeah.
Like, so many people said Chicago. And I suspect that's partially a sampling error, because I know a lot of Japes' friends were answering. So it could be a sampling error. But yeah, Chicago was the runaway, though Atlanta and Dallas both showed well. We've done Atlanta. I will definitely agree on how good Atlanta is.
Mm-hmm.
But I will also say we have not done Dallas. We've done Houston.
Right.
Not Dallas. So maybe we need to put that on our list.
Maybe.
That was kind of what I was wanting, is to get suggestions for where we go.
Yeah.
But anyways, we got a lot of other great answers here. Chad Brown said Louisville and backed it up with a list of 10 haunts in the area.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm a little surprised that Louisville has such an active haunted house scene, because it's not a huge town.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be, and it's not one that we hear a lot about for the community.
Yeah. Troy Kivion said, Portland has many home haunts, but few pro ones. Seattle is the reverse. Which I find that interesting, because, okay, they're in different states, but they're both West Coast, Pacific Northwest towns.
Mm-hmm.
And I would expect there to be some similarities in the haunt culture.
Yeah.
But it sounds like they're polar opposite of one another, which is just interesting. I just found that to be an interesting observation. Mm-hmm. Brian Barnes said Chicago, but did say he wants to come to New Orleans next. I'll tell you straightforward, we do have some great haunts in the area, but they are not super close together.
Yeah, they're not super close, and it's more of a
region thing.
Yeah, and New Orleans itself just has a kind of haunted vibe feel.
Yeah. I'm still kind of surprised that we do not have a year-round haunt, or at least a tourist seasonal haunt in the French Quarter.
Me too.
Because we've seen, like in Galveston, how you can operate one of these relatively effectively in a small amount of space. And I think that would be the big limiter, is getting a lot of square footage in the French Quarter is going to be stupid expensive. But
yeah, I do know that we've talked to at least a couple of people who moved here with that exact idea. It hasn't panned out yet.
Yeah, and I don't think it can. I don't know if it can. And part of the problem is the real estate in the French Quarter is just so expensive.
Yeah.
And Victor Ruella is based on the post he's seen. He said Los Angeles, which was an interesting one for me, Because we actually have a friend in LA
Right.
who comments about haunted houses there, and she was not super impressed.
Yeah. That's really more about the home haunts are really big out in that region, is what I understand. Not so much the pro haunts.
Yeah. I mean, there are haunts in Los Angeles I do want to go to. If it's still available, I do want to go to, like, the Queen Mary, for example.
Yeah.
If that's even possible now. Sorry, y'all, dealing with allergy, dealing with stopped up nose today.
And Kevin Hopkins said Atlanta, but sad so many haunts are in Netherworld shadow.
And after doing the Atlanta tour, I will agree with that 100%.
So, I don't know. I think that we should get Teddy and Boston on to talk about the influence of having a big haunt in the area, because that's something that we talked about with them when they were in town.
Yeah.
But I'd like to explore that question more.
But the thing is, and I understand his point, though, and I do think the point is fair, is that in the national discussion of Atlanta, when, why did we go to Atlanta? We went to Atlanta for Netherworld. We just picked up all these other haunts on the way.
Right. Not everybody's us. Some people will just go to
Atlanta, go to Netherworld, and have fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
But no, I mean, our time in Atlanta, there were so many creative haunts. No two haunts were that much alike, realistically.
Yeah.
There was a lot of variety in the haunt styles. I mean, they had some things that were kind of stock and trade for the area, like the whiteout room seemed to be everywhere that year we were going. I'm not sure what that was about. But overall, the feel of the haunts were very, very different from one another. And
yeah, what I would like to see is the premier haunts for the area. So Netherworld or 13th Gate here. Help promote the other haunts around them. You know.
Because we had a blast, and Atlanta, the haunts are close enough together that we were able to get 4 in one night without really doing anything that crazy.
No. And, some of those were on the fly added, and in an area we didn't know where we were.
Yeah. I think someone with better knowledge could do even more. So, that was... I understand his point, but I also do think there are, like you were saying, there are benefits to having a huge haunt like Netherworld in there in terms of feeding the rest of the haunt ecosystem. So I think, there's points both ways there.
Yeah.
But I do understand the frustration that Atlanta is known as the home of Netherworld, not as the home of this very interesting haunt economy.
Yeah.
I get that.
That's fair. Yeah.
I get that frustration.
I do.
I'm with you there.
Yeah.
Okay, so that takes us to this week's question of the week. What is your weirdest haunt experience? And we agree, because I don't think either of us are topping this shit. I mean, Crystal told you, set sail for us.
All right. So, the Haunted Puddle was a very short-lived haunted house.
Very, very short-lived haunt. I think we went there one of the 2 weekends it was open.
Yeah, I think it only maybe lasted 2 nights. But, yeah, so we've talked about it before a little bit, but it was surprising in that it didn't follow a lot of the standards. It was more of an art performance.
Yeah, well, it was in a art... what do they call it? Not a commune. They're not
complex.
It's in one of those artsy spaces.
A space for artists.
Where people get together and do art stuff. Art centers, if you will. And so this was New Orleans art weirdos putting it on, basically. Go ahead, sorry.
No, that's okay. So we saw things that you wouldn't see in normal haunted houses, including scares on stairs. And
wet floors. You had to walk across a clearly wet floor, which is a big no-no.
It was in the name, the Haunted Puddle.
I understand that.
That was a beautiful scene.
It was a beautiful scene.
That was my favorite scene, probably in one of my top 10 scenes.
Yeah, and you could tell it was
anywhere.
What they had done, obviously, was taken a sculpture that someone had made there and centered this room around. Because it was basically an empty room, pretty much.
Yeah.
With this giant metal sculpture of just weirdness. It's hard to describe.
Lots of
tricycles. And they were hanging in such a way they looked like they were being ridden, but not. It was like a tornado of bicycles and tricycles.
Or mobile.
A mobile type thing. And rain was coming down on it, and there was an actor at the bottom riding a bike.
Yeah.
And there was really nothing in there but a strobe light and this effect, and it was a beautiful piece. You can tell this was just a sculpture someone had made in this art community, and they just put it in a dark room and had an actor there.
Yeah.
And did the water effect.
Yeah.
But yeah, the water effect, unfortunately, also meant the walking path was soaking wet.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
So that's like violation number 3,000 we noticed of the fire code.
Yeah. And I think it was the only haunted house we've been to that had full nudity.
Yeah.
Both male and female.
Yeah. Full nudity and non-simulated sex.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's definitely the weirdest. Because I don't think we're getting that experience anywhere else. Yeah, nobody else is going to have that experience.
No.
Except for the few people who were able to go when they were open.
Now, there are two side notes before we move on. One is, at the end of it, they did one of the things where they took your photo.
Yeah.
And tried to sell you the photo as you left. We actually bought our photo. Mm-hmm. And even today, we saw this like 7 years ago?
Yeah.
Somewhere in that range. It's still on our fridge right now. You come to our house, it's on the refrigerator, you can see it. It's a little worse for wear, it's been battered and beaten, but it's there and it's very visible. The other thing is the haunt closed down not long after we did it. According to what I have heard from multiple sources, they never got fire marshal approval, which is hilarious because the entire time we're going through it, we're just picking out the fire code violations, and there were no shortage.
Yeah, like, how did they get away with that?
And what they didn't.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the...
I think that's the weirdest. I don't think we're going to get anything like that ever again.
No.
And I don't know if that's a bad thing.
Yeah, that's true. Now, I do know that a lot of people are going to speak up and say Raven's Grin Inn is a weird haunt experience.
It is. I'll agree with that.
And it definitely is. But in a totally different vein from this.
Yeah, well, and the other thing is, okay, the other reason why I think we jumped to Haunted Puddle versus Raven's Grin is, and both of these stories involve Kyle.
Yeah.
I just realized that.
They do.
Both of these, fucking Kyle, man, getting us in shit at every turn. I'm glad he moved to New York, dick. I'm kidding. Kyle, I'm kidding, dude. Miss you very much badly, in all seriousness. But yeah, Raven's Grin Inn, we were told how weird it was when we went.
Right, so we had an expectation of it being different.
And that expectation was met, and then exceeded.
Yes.
And then tripled.
Yeah.
But we had that expectation going into Haunted Puddle we knew nothing about. No. Kyle had heard about it through some whisper in the wind type thing.
Yeah.
I think he saw it in one of the local papers. Said, "Hey, y'all want to go with me? I got Saturday off. I'm gonna go to the Haunted Puddle.
Yeah,
we'll go after the kiddie hour." And
you wound up meeting the guy who was running it. Mm-hmm. He was doing a radio spot or something. Yeah. You were there beforehand.
Yeah, and that was but this is before we went.
Yeah,
in fact, I think this may be how I learned about it. Even
it could be.
I think maybe I learned about it because I was helping a friend. This was day job stuff.
Yeah,
I was helping a friend talk copyright and copyright related stuff on a local. It's not a public radio, but a local low power FM station. That's the term I'm after.
Yeah,
and it's WHIV New Orleans. Great channel, by the way. Mm-hmm. They do a lot of great work. And I was helping him out. We were doing that. But his next guest was the guy that made the Haunted Puddle.
Yeah.
And I started asking him questions. And I would ask any haunt owner.
Yeah.
Like, what's your throughput? What's your group size? And he had no answers. And I began to realize this is not what I think it is. But I still did not have the expectation it would be what it was.
Right.
I still walked in fundamentally expecting a fairly mundane. And it started out fairly mundane. The very first scene in the Haunted Puddle was the witch's shack.
Yeah, and that's
which was
where
very normal.
That's where the photo comes from.
Yeah, and which is very normal scene.
Yeah,
nothing unusual about it. It was actually a lot of fun, well decorated. Yeah. I enjoyed that.
Chair turned into a guy.
Why not?
Yeah,
that was a pretty good scare. I thought they did a lot of good work there, and then it just off the fucking cliff. I mean, the DMV sequence.
Yeah, that was It was really odd. It was really odd.
You were basically shuffled from performance art piece, performance art piece. And much like Raven's Grin Inn, how long you stay there is at the mercy of the people running it.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally, because I know we were in that DMV sequence, which is the whole idea was to trap you in a bureaucratic hell and make you feel like you were.
Yeah.
And they did a good job.
They did.
I felt like I was trapped in bureaucratic hell. Nice job, guys.
Yeah.
But we were that scene for like 10, 15 minutes. No exaggeration.
No. Yeah, I don't think that's one that we actually timed the walkthrough.
No,
because we just stopped halfway. We're like, there's no way to time this.
No.
Not give accurate reporting.
It's like Raven's Grin Inn. I mean, I can tell you our tour was 3 hours. It doesn't mean yours will be.
Yeah, exactly.
I can tell you what we saw. Doesn't mean it applies to literally anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, so yes, what is your weirdest haunt experience? Now we babbled on about that one really weird haunt we went to for a long time. Seriously, though, Jesus, Murphy. That was so bizarre. But anyways, want to know yours? Let us know. Facebook.com/HauntWeekly, Twitter.com/HauntWeekly, and YouTube.com/HauntWeekly. Leave a comment if you so desire. We'll also post a question a week on our Facebook pages where the bulk of the conversation happens.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, it is an even number episode.
Mm-hmm. So
let's kick in to our conference reminders.
Yep.
All right. First up this week, if you did not know this yourself, what the fuck are you doing listening to this podcast?
We've mentioned it already.
We've mentioned it already, and frankly, it's everywhere on the internets right now.
That's true.
Can't really avoid it.
No.
In St. Louis, Missouri, March 17th through the 20th at the America Center, it's Transworld's Halloween and Attraction Show, co-located with the Transworld's Christmas Show and a Room Escape Conference, will feature a bus tour of Chicago-based haunts they're doing, which as people that have, because we went to Raven's Grin Inn, which is about the same, far north as St. Louis to from St. Louis. It's about the same distance north. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you this, it's a long haul between Chicago and St. Louis, but well worth it. There's some great haunts will be featured, including a tour of Hell's Gate. I cannot recommend a tour of Hell's Gate enough. Mm-hmm. Disturbier, Massacre Haunted House, and Basement of the Dead. I know we have visited 3 of those. Mm-hmm. There's a party at City Museum, a casino night event, and a vintage costume ball. Go to the Haas Show, HAASHOW.com for more details.
Okay. May 13th through the 15th, it's the West Coast Haunters Convention in Portland, Oregon at the Doubletree Hotel, Portland. The organization is a nonprofit that donates to professionals that work with autism. It has a haunt tour visiting Fear PDX in Portland. Mm-hmm. 2 great-looking parties, costume contest, and foam dart war. That's after everything's picked up on the last day. Mm-hmm. HauntersConvention.com for more info.
And after that, June 10th through the 12th in Rosemont, Illinois, it's the Midwest Haunters Convention at the Donald E. Stevens Convention Center. 2022 details are pending as of last time we checked.
Yes. And that was Midwest Haunters Convention.
MidwestHauntersConvention.com, so you can keep on top of it.
Yep. And then Haunters Against Hate, the event 2, the second one, is July 8th through the 10th at the Clarion Center, North Lexington, Kentucky. They'll have celebrity guests, drag shows, cosplay competitions, makeup contest, special guests, workshops, seminars, all the things.
The website is HauntersAgainstHate.com.
Yes, sorry. I had it open and I closed it because we are probably actually going to this.
We have started planning our possible trip to it, and then that's early stuff like her securing her time off from work,
right? Things
like that. So not a guarantee. A lot can happen. So we're not like announcing it as a place we're appearing yet.
No.
But hey,
there's a possibility.
It's a possibility, and apparently we learned a lot about Kentucky this week and the suggested haunts. I'm just saying, this could be serendipity. Yeah. I know Louisville is not Lexington.
Yeah,
Louisville was the city where we got listed so many times.
Yeah.
Okay, but no. All right. And after that, finally for right now, July the 29th through the 31st in Savannah, Georgia, it's the Southeast Hollows Haunting Convention. Magicians will be doing demos on the show floor. Masquerade Ball, SEHHC.com. Yes, indeed. A lot of great events coming up. And I know we asked recently what everyone's Transworld's plans were, and I'm thinking this is going to be one very well-attended Transworld.
Yeah, I do too.
I really do, because it seems like a lot of people are going, and a lot of first-timers.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes me excited.
Exactly. And one little thing on...
Okay.
You can get to the Haunters Against Hate from the Haunters Against Hate website, but the event is hatheevent.com. It's HAHTHEEVENT.com.
Okay, thank you.
That's where they collect all that info.
No, honestly, you should go to HauntersAgainstHate.com anyway.
Yeah.
It's a great site with great stuff there. So I personally will recommend the main site every time.
Yes, that's
All
where
right.
you can go and get your swag.
Indeed. Well, look, guys, it is an episode of Visible by 4, so that means it is time to do the news. And we actually have a fair amount. I'm a little bit surprised that we had as much news as we did.
Yeah.
Not all of it happy, but we'll get through it all together. And if you stick with us, as usual with the news episodes, we promise to end on a more fun note.
Yes, exactly.
That is the way we roll here. We promise to send you home as happy as we can send you.
Yep. Even if it's a packed news week with lots of sad things, we will try to end up upbeat.
We don't want to be that episode of Futurama about the dog.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'll kick off, I guess.
Okay.
Because Douglas, in Parker, Colorado, Douglas County deputies are searching for haunted house arson suspects. This is from the Denver Channel. We were actually reported this back in October when it happened.
Correct.
Basically, a local haunted attraction basically was set on fire.
Yeah, the Parker Haunted House.
Parker Haunted House, okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't...
Yeah, I know it's confusing because it's the Parker Haunted House in Parker, Colorado.
They're really trying to make this difficult for me, aren't they?
Yeah.
You guys really like fucking with people that report podcasts, I'm just saying. But no,
Anyway.
Sorry, sad news. Wrong tone.
Yeah.
This is sad news. Back in October, there was a fire set there. 2 people were seen going onto the property, and then were filmed leaving it, and in that interceding time, the fire was started.
Right.
They are asking for help in identifying the suspects. Apparently they received a lot of tips, but none really panned out.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that is frustrating. And if you do know anything, I mean, I know I don't have to say that.
Yeah.
And I know the odds of anyone that listens to this podcast knowing anything are very slim.
Right.
But if you do, please give the information up. It'd be appreciated because arson is just stupid.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the photo that they released does not really help.
No,
with
they look like two. It's a very spooky photo. They have two.
Yeah.
They're just 2 shadows in the image, as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
So you're right. For the purpose of identification, not super useful, but it does give us the exact times they were there.
Right.
Which is why, interestingly enough, this was something I learned from going to the police meetings. That's why they actually police say they like security cameras, not because they help identify people necessarily, but because they let you know the exact time something happened. Instead of saying, oh yeah, it happened sometime between 8 p.m. and 6 a.m., whatever. No, we know the exact time it happened.
Yeah.
It makes it easier for them. Apparently that's what they say. But anyways, yeah, I agree with you. I don't think this photo is going to help much, but if you do know anything, there is a reward of up to $2,000. Mm-hmm. I don't get arson or vandalism. I understand people that rob, they want money, they're oftentimes desperate. Mm-hmm. But just destroying things?
Yeah.
I don't get that. There's no benefit to you.
No.
It's just, you gain nothing. You're just a horrible human being at that point. There's no out there.
Yeah.
So yes, once again, that's in Parker, Colorado, the Parker Haunted House, of course. Yeah. Let your local sheriff's deputy know. Well, sheriff's department know.
Okay. Next is Scream Dreams plans haunted attraction in Thomasville. This article is by Cindy Lohman of the Greensboro.com.
Mm-hmm.
There's Gus McPherson is the owner. He hopes to scare up a lot of businesses fall. It's a 66,000 square foot haunted attraction set to open September 1st, which is early season.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to take 30 to 35 minutes to complete. They talked about how they don't want to use any tropes from other haunted houses, that they're going to try to scare in a different and new way. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah, this whole story, the term I would use when I read this, is I found it very ambitious.
Yeah.
To open what I believe is their first haunted house. Mm-hmm. But my understanding is it wasn't... No, they did have another one, that's right.
Yeah, they've built other...
haunts elsewhere, yeah.
Yeah, but this is the first one of this size. I believe.
Yeah, and they're jumping straight to 66,000 square feet.
Yeah, 40 rooms.
Which is insanely huge.
Mm-hmm.
And targeting a 30 to 35 minute walkthrough. To give you an idea, I think the longest haunt I have a regular timing on is 13th Gate. And their timing has been very consistent over the years. Mm-hmm. And they clock in at about 20 to 25 minutes.
Right.
In fact, I'm trying to think of a haunt we went to that consistently has a 30 to 35 minute walkthrough that's indoor. Because I can think of like Fright Trail, Waterloo, big outdoor haunts that obviously those are going to be long walkthroughs. You got miles ahead of you.
Right. But yeah, it is difficult to think of one that's indoors that's that long.
Yeah, I can't think of any. I mean, like Netherworld was about 20, 25 minutes too. It was a good, it was a good length, but it was not super long. Well, I mean, it was long, but it wasn't like this long.
Yeah, so if you're in the Thomasville area of North Carolina, then you'll want to check these out this September.
Yeah, and that's the other thing that's ambitious about it. Like you noted, that is a long haunt season.
It is, yeah.
Like most haunts, I think the earliest haunt in our area that opens up is the mortuary. They usually open up third weekend in September.
Right.
Because September is often a 5-weekend month. Mm-hmm. So they get 2 weekends in September, the run of October, and then usually 1 week in November.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's
the normal pattern for them. And this is tacking on 2 weeks to the most ambitious haunt schedule we have local. Yeah. That's a lot. And the thing is, it's a lot to do when you're running a haunt that big. Because it's one thing to do a crazy number of nights when you have a small haunt and only maybe a handful of employees or a handful of actors. Yeah. But when you're going to have enough people to fill this is going to be a lot. This is very, very ambitious. I'll be keeping an eye on this haunt and how well they do because, yeah, they got other haunt experience, which is good, but this is very ambitious.
Yeah.
Very, very good luck. I mean, that's serious. I wish you luck. I hope it goes well. And I'm very curious what this no trope policy leads to.
Yeah.
I'm very curious. All right. Up next, an article from WCHS TV in West Virginia. A zombie-themed prom night held in Putnam County. Basically, local haunted attraction Fear on the Farm held a zombie-themed prom night, basically.
Yeah.
Had a lot of the standard tropes you would expect at a prom, a DJ, dancing, punch, kids and their partners and their friends and everything, hanging out and dancing and having a good time, but zombies.
Yeah.
But zombies.
And for adults, mostly.
Yeah. It was more for adults, that's true.
Yeah.
Not high schoolers as much. But no, this was really an interesting idea because we're going to get into it more in a little bit when we talk about another haunt opening. Mm-hmm. But another haunt opening, a thing, I should say. But the thing is this. Haunts, to my mind, have fallen in this trap where it's like, hey, we need to make year-round income. What do we do? Oh, let's open escape rooms. Let's open an axe throwing place. Let's open... And there's like a list of items that haunts feel comfortable opening. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, I think we've seen haunts do great things and have great success when they break out of that pattern. Like Darkwoods has had good luck with their panning or sluicing.
Yes.
Sluicing service they do. Sluicing thing they do. And also their Christmas display.
And they're funny with the Easter Bunny. Photos with the Easter Bunny.
They found... And those are not traditional haunt things.
Mm-mm.
So
it's not like Zombie Easter Bunny.
Yeah, but this is a really good example of a haunt branching out. They say that they host around 30 events per year. And I would not be doubtful that those events make up a fairly significant part of their income.
Yeah, and this was the 5th year of the zombie prom.
I think that's a really, really cool thing. And honestly, I love this story because I like seeing haunts branch out in creative and in imaginative ways. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was so cool to see that story come across the feed. All right, next up.
Okay. This is a couple of stories from Disney. The basically Disneyland's Haunted Mansion ride is having an issue where the ghost at the end that calls into you, the hitchhiking ghost, as they call it, are ghosting guests by not appearing.
The ghost is ghosting guests.
Yes. I don't know how that wasn't the headline, because it was Disney attraction facing disappointing issue.
I would have said that the Haunted Mansion's down to 998 ghosts, apparently.
No, that's because you know how many ghosts are in it.
Or supposed to be, or quote unquote, that's the mythos at least.
Yeah, but basically this story started on Reddit. People were posting that they didn't get the experience, and they had been going, in February and March, and it's been down for at least 2 months, maybe longer.
Yeah,
and multiple people.
And there's been no official statement about this.
No.
I searched for an official statement.
Yeah,
Disney itself has not said anything about this, and I find that frustrating and maddening because the Haunted Mansion ride is very well known, even if you haven't been on it.
Right.
I mean, even if you've never set foot on it, you know certain things you expect. You expect the stretching room. You expect to see the Pepper's Ghost dancing ghost illusion.
Yes.
The big thing there. And you know about the hitchhiking ghost.
Yes, and the singing ones.
And the singing ones, yeah.
Because I haven't been on it, so I can say what I expect.
Yeah. You would expect these things. If you went on the Haunted Mansion ride for the first time ever, like now, and that was down, you would be a little bit sad.
Like, what happened? Did I miss it?
No, you did not miss it. Apparently it is not working.
Yeah.
And it's odd because I had always thought, I had not understood how they did it. I had always thought it was a hologram projected by a mirror, because they do use holograms in other parts of it. But no, it's actually another Pepper's Ghost illusion, which, duh. The ride is basically one long series of Pepper's Ghosts. Yeah. Which, go back to our previous episode about Pepper's Ghost and how the illusion noir got started. It's actually very interesting.
Yeah.
But but I would be very disappointed by this. And I would at least expect Disney to warn people before they go on, but it doesn't appear they're doing that. And I don't know what is wrong with it, but they don't seem to be in a hell of a hurry to fix it. Yeah,
or to talk about it.
Yeah.
So thank you to Luke DeMann from Inside the Magic for reporting on it. The other story from Disney is that the Pirates of the Caribbean ride is closed indefinitely.
Man.
A lot of heartburn about this from people going.
Well, it's always the Pirates of the Caribbean ride is interesting. I've having been on it. It's a ride that it didn't age well. We've talked multiple times on these news episodes about them having to update it. Yeah. Because something did not age well. Like there was a sequence where the pirate was chasing a wench around and around and around. Basically, the implication is he's trying to rape her. And they got rid of that because they realized, that's probably no bueno. It's no good. Don't do that. And they've made other changes here and there. And they've also, I know, made changes to include the people from the actual Pirates of the Caribbean movies in there. Right. Give them at least cameo appearances. Because it's the weirdest thing. The Pirates of the Caribbean movies had nothing to do with the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. Right. Other than they were both pirate-themed and Disney. Yeah. And I guess set in the Caribbean. So I guess it's not a total misnomer. But then they went back and retroactively made the ride more about... It's weird. That's Disney in a nutshell for you, though. Yeah. Yeah, and this is, by the way, by Andrew Boardwine at Inside the Magic. But yeah, they said it's closed indefinitely with no announcement on a reopen date. And this is at Disneyland again. Yeah. And this was, there are rumors that it'll be open this summer, but nobody knows. And nobody knows if it's going to come back as the ride, as the Pirates of the Caribbean. Yeah, and it's a ride that even though they've made changes to progressively, those changes, once again, have been very progressive. They've been incremental. Right. You take out this character, you put this one in, you swap this scene around, you do little things. And a lot of the changes are literally blink and you miss it. Changes. Yeah. So here... they could be doing a much bigger renovation. And one commenter on this pointed out, oh, great, just in time for spring break. Yeah. Like, yeah, you know what? You're not wrong. And the thing that kind of tickles me, or not tickles is the wrong word, is if there were ride maintenance that has to be, and ride maintenance has to be done, I get that. Yeah. Things break, maintenance needs to happen, rides go down. My question is, why is Disney having these issues now when both Disneyland and Disney World had extended periods of being shut down due to the pandemic?
Yeah, exactly. And
that seems like the one good thing about that.
They could have...
You can just go renovate your fucking rides now and not miss a single dollar in sales or deal with one irate customer.
Yeah, well, so we say that, but then we don't know if they were letting anyone on the property. Because you also want to keep your workers safe.
That's true.
So there was a period of time there when things shut down, and they shut down.
Yeah, if you basically weren't running a grocery store.
Yeah.
You weren't working.
Yeah, like...
You weren't working in person.
Like road work here. Like,
oh, yeah.
Just stopped.
Yeah, that happened in the 60s.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. It's New Orleans. I'm pretty sure they stopped road work sometime around.
So they knew it was coming.
Very forward thinking to shut down all road repairs, for about the past 50 plus years.
Yeah.
No, very forward thinking. Very forward thinking. But yeah. So yeah, Pirates of the Caribbean right close. Definitely, once again, that's Disneyland, not Disney World. Mm-hmm. I've only been to Disney World. I've never been to Disneyland at all.
Yeah.
So yeah. Well, here's an interesting thing. Speaking of some Disney stuff here, I find this one really interesting. According to Paul Benson at Geek Dad, Disney is releasing a board game based on the Haunted Mansion.
Yeah. And this looks fun.
This does. This legit looks fun.
Yeah.
This really does. It's got little miniatures. It's got a lot of custom pieces to keep scores and track of things. Like, they don't explain the gameplay at all in the article. So
no.
I really don't know what's happening, but they show you photos of everything. So this is one of those times. Go check the article.
Yeah. There's an endless hallway centerpiece on the game board.
Yeah.
Which is just cool.
It's supposed to take. It's supposed to have 2 to 6 players, age 8 and up, which is impressive because that's not been the trend for board games to be very accessible to children.
Not lately, no. There's
been a more grown up and high end gaming experiences. You get Kickstarters and you get like millions of dollars for a game. But it's called the Call of Spirits Magic. The Haunted Mansion Call of Spirits.
Yes.
Magic Kingdom Edition. And it's got like I said, it's got some neat miniatures. It supposedly takes about 30 minutes to play. I think this is just great. Everything looks amazing in these photos. The artwork looks really, really good. They don't really tell you much about the gameplay other than 2 to 6 players, about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
That's all they tell you.
Probably what they could see from the box release. But yeah.
Yeah, I would really love to get my hands on a copy of this when it comes out.
Yeah, especially since it's only $25.
Yeah, and that's the other crazy part. It's cheap. And that's just it. We've been doing and buying board games that are like these higher end ones for so long now. I forgot that board games can be like $25.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, how many hundreds is it going to cost me to buy this?
Yeah.
What do you mean $25? I can go to a Toys R Us. Well, no, I can't go to a Toys R Us. I can go to Walmart and buy this. Holy crap! I don't have to back the Kickstarter or.
No. You can find it in stores.
Yeah, you got to go to Target, go to Walmart, and get one. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So next up, the Visiting Niagara Falls in Autumn list is out.
Yeah, by thetravel.com.
Yeah. And by, I am going to butcher that name.
Onandita Bhatia.
Okay.
That's my best guess. I'll jump on the grenade.
Yeah, but I put this in here because it's interesting that Niagara Falls is already advertising to try to get tourists to come and visit in October after the last 2 seasons have been pretty abysmal for travel everywhere because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
It's nice to see that they're trying to get people to come out and go to the haunted houses in the area, of which there are several. And
well, they highlight specifically Haunt Manor, which is apparently Canada's largest haunted attraction.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I was not aware of that. That is fascinating.
No. Yeah. Yeah. So it's just interesting that they're already trying to say, hey, come here in like 6 months.
Well, and that's one of the things. It's like we've been talking about cities we want to go to.
Yeah.
And right now, we might be eyeing Dallas more. We've got Ohio cities on our brain. Mm-hmm. I do want to at least check out LA at some point. I do want to check out Orlando haunts too.
Yeah.
But maybe we should tack onto that list somewhere some Canadian cities.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're going to fly, why not fly to Canada?
Yeah, that's true.
We got passports and shit, so let's do it,
Yeah.
I would love, because I'm willing to wager we would see stuff that's very different in Canadian haunts.
I would hope so.
I would hope so too, because I mean, yeah, I get it. Canada's America's had very funny, but they are a very distinct culture.
Mm-hmm.
And I would hope and imagine that since what is in and what makes up a haunted attraction is often from that culture, that it'd be very different.
Yeah.
I would sincerely hope so. I hope it's not just Americans exporting their idea of a haunted house to Canada.
Hopefully not.
All right. Well, this is where I threw my spoiler out previously, but yes, it's grand. It was grand opening weekend at the legendary Axe in Westland, Michigan. There's a new Axe throwing bar. This is from Patch.com. Basically, the people who own Hush Haunted Attraction have opened a new axe throwing bar and got a lot of decent media attention there. This wasn't the only article about it, interestingly. But yeah, basically you get both an axe throwing range, a full bar, a lounge, and a kitchen for small bites.
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds lovely. It really does. And I know I kind of shit on axe throwing there for a minute because, I mean, it is one of the things haunts do, and that's something I find very frustrating. It's like when haunts hear that another haunt found success.
Yeah, and that's true. But, I mean, here, you can get drunk and throw axes.
That seems like a dumb idea for so many reasons.
There are cages that are separated, so...
But yeah. Try to leave with all the fingers you came in, please.
Yeah. Yes, as I say, it is safe as long as you use common sense.
And and it is. Having done axe throwing before, it definitely is,
including inside locations like this, not just at Renfest.
Yeah, I've done both.
Mm-hmm.
It's really it sounds 100,000 times more dangerous than it is.
Yeah,
it's not axe juggling people.
No, it is not.
No.
And you're not throwing it towards somebody with an apple on their head.
No. And then there's no human targets.
No.
It's very, very difficult to actually injure yourself or anyone else at an axe throwing place. You have to basically be trying. All but be trying. But yeah, no, I think this is a neat thing. Like I said, I like it when haunts are doing new and novel things rather than trying to follow what other haunts have found success with.
Yeah, but at the same time, you got to make your money, and if it's successful one place, it can be successful elsewhere. So
yeah, but I worry about things like this getting saturated because we would not. Do we even have an axe throwing place anywhere in New Orleans? I don't think we do.
I don't know.
I'm gonna Google it.
I would have to look that up.
I'm gonna Google that because I don't think we do.
Yeah.
But yeah, so.
But I know that there are in St. Louis.
Oh yeah.
Apparently
there are axe throwing places in New Orleans, or at least the area.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a hell of a name to go with.
Mm-hmm.
Stumpy's Hatchet House.
Okay, so something for us to look into later.
I have questions.
Uh-huh.
That I don't think I'm going to get good answers to right now.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
But no, I think that it is nice, and I think that it's still fairly new, even though, we've been to them for years.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of people have gone this route.
And it is something, and that's one of the things they're doing that's really smart, is they're trying to turn it more into a bar, lounge, restaurant vibe.
Yeah.
Where you go and you hang out, because if you've got nothing but the axe throwing,
mm-hmm.
Let me tell you straight, if you do axe throwing, you will get fucking tired.
Yeah.
It wears your ass out pretty quick.
Yeah, and these are 60 to 90 minute axe throwing sessions that you get at the legendary axe.
Yeah, so you're going to get tired. And what are you going to do after that? Well, they don't have the bar, they don't have the food, they don't have that stuff there. You're going to go the fuck elsewhere.
Exactly.
No, what they're trying to do, and I think is the smart thing, is because a lot of the axe throwing places I've been to were just axe throwing. You just go, you throw axes, you leave.
Mm-hmm.
The most I think you can get is like a bottle of fucking water.
Yeah. There was the one on a haunt tour that we went to, I think it was in Dallas.
That
had the axe throwing and the escape room in the same building.
which I thought was an interesting choice because I remember the bus got off and we went to the escape room.
Yeah.
We did not do this actual experience because we are still very big fans of escape rooms.
Yeah.
And honestly, you asked me where I'd rather spend an hour. I'd rather have the 60 minutes in an escape room than axe throwing personally.
Yeah, me too.
But I also know that's a personal preference.
Yeah.
I'd rather be relying on my intellect than my physical strength.
Yeah.
I've got one, I don't have the other.
Yeah.
But it's a neat place. It sounds like they're doing some nice things, and I hope it works out for them. I really do. I tend to worry about haunts oversaturating markets.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what happened with escape rooms a little bit, it seems to be, but that's neither here nor there. And our final story this week, just because we promised to send you home happy the best we can,
Yeah.
the 10 Scariest Haunted Houses in Video Games. This was a fun article by Screen Rant by Zach Gass, Gass.
Yes. And since we've talked about,
Video
horror
game.
games and video games so many times, we thought it was appropriate to
At least
include this.
mention- yeah.
I was actually surprised to see so many old games mentioned in this, like Luigi's Mansion, or the Hidden Mansion, which is Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah.
But
yeah, also Splatterhouse, the original Splatterhouse.
Castlevania.
Of course. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
And honestly, you can't really have a conversation about video game haunted houses without Castlevania.
You can't. No.
You're going to get thrown out.
Yeah.
Oh, Clock Tower, the Barrows Family Manor.
Yeah. I remember that guy with the
Fucking
freaking scissors.
Zinka. Going at you like at 1 mile an hour. Okay, I'm going to walk this way now, slow.
Exactly. But, there is a clock tower building on the road home.
Yeah, literally every time you come home from work, you drive right past the clock tower building. And it does have a clock tower, but that's really stretching the definition of what is a clock tower. It's not very tall.
Yeah.
One I found interesting they listed was Spencer Mansion from the original Resident Evil. Which is a fun one for me because there's a weird bit of trivia here. A lot of people were like, well, that mansion's not realistic. Who the fuck would make their bedroom accessible by a puzzle you have to solve by squeezing 3 horns and turning dials and whatever the hell else?
Yeah.
Don't remember much about the puzzles in the original Resident Evil. And there's actually an in-game lore that covers that. The mansion was not built for living in. It was built for parties, and it was meant to be a challenge thing. Think of it
like an escape room.
like an escape room, but it was... When was the original Resident Evil released?
Oh, I don't
Hang on, so I'm going to find out. But it was way before physical escape rooms were really much of a thing. Yeah, the original Resident Evil that's the movie. Hang on a second. It's a 1996 video game. So 26 years ago. Wow. Interesting.
Yeah, well, and what I'm noticing in this list is that some of these games, at least, it was like spooky castles and stuff, but it wasn't necessarily what I would consider haunted.
Yeah.
I think that they missed an opportunity to include, and I've been trying to think of the name of it. We covered it on an episode.
Haunting Starring Poltergeist?
No. The
Layers of Fear?
maybe
We did do that.
where we go through a door and the whole room changes.
Layers of Fear.
Yeah,
Layers of Fear. It's Layers of Fear.
Okay.
Still haven't played Layers of Fear 2 yet. I own it, but I have not played it yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, and there's a lot of really great houses and castles and things in there. This is a good list. The others I would have included, Mansion of Hidden Souls from the original Sega Saturn. That was, even though it was not a good game, the house was quite beautiful and well done. And I'm honestly not a fan of like those Myst style controls and for interacting with puzzles and shit. It's just not my jam. But it is a great haunted house looking environment, and it's literally haunted by hidden souls.
Yeah.
That's kind of the point of the fucking game. So yeah, there's stuff like that one was a good one, but I don't think anyone knows that game other than me.
Yeah.
Man, I'm willing to wager if you remember Mansion of the Hidden Souls, leave a comment, facebook.com/hauntweekly, hauntweekly.com, twitter.com/hauntweekly. Leave a comment. I want to know that someone else remembers this game other than me. I would feel much better knowing that. But yeah, this is a lot of neat stuff here that, like I said, it's a great article. House of the Dead was a fun one. Though honestly, even though I think it is a great shooter and a great game, it's such a high-paced, frantic game. You almost don't notice
The
environment at all.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh yeah, that was really scary. Wait a minute, was it? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah.
Scratch your chin a little bit, try to figure it out. So yeah, a lot of good stuff in here. Check it out. Once again, it's on Screen Rant, and the article is by Zach Gass. Well, I think that's about all we have.
Yeah.
A lot of good stuff this week. The only other news we had even mentioned or discussed was the upcoming Monsters.
Yes.
Movie by Rob Zombie is getting a PG rating.
Yes. And they just secured Cassandra Peterson for it. A.K.A. Elvira.
Yeah, but she will be in a unrecognizable role, apparently.
Yes.
She will not be Elvira in this.
So that's fun, though.
It is. No,
like
I'm excited
that.
about it. I got to be honest. I mean, Rob Zombie's movies have been hit and miss with me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for every movie of his I've loved, he's released one I just couldn't stand.
Yeah.
And there seems to be almost no rhyme or reason. Like, House of a Thousand Corpses did not do it for me. Devil's Rejects. Oh, yeah. Num, 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 num. All that. That is cinema. Num, 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 num. In my face.
In your eye holes.
In my eye holes. Get it there quickly and immediately. So, yeah, like that. But on that note, everyone, thank you very much for joining us for the past hour. I'm just going to segue out of here. We've had our 50 minutes. Mm-hmm. But on that note, everyone, thank you very much for spending the past hour or so with us. We greatly appreciate it. Hope you learned something from the news. Hope we uplifted your spirits with our last story. What great haunted mansions have you seen in video games, too? I'd be curious what other ones people come up with.
I think we've got the question for next week.
Well, yeah, maybe we'll make that the question next week. We should have done it this week, but we weren't smart enough to put two and two together.
Figure that out.
Just weren't quite smart enough. Damn daylight savings time.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking with our brains. But on that note, you can catch more Haunt Weekly at hauntweekly.com or Haunt Weekly on Twitter, Haunt Weekly on Facebook, youtube.com/Haunt Weekly is the YouTube channel. Find us on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, Podbean, Podman, Podpeople. I don't know. Wherever you get your podcast from, we're probably there. And until next time, I'm Jonathan.
I'm Crystal.
And we'll see you all next week with some more fresh content.